Hey guys, welcome to BP, the Bible Perspective. I want to talk about this thought: why conservative hosts don't last on The View. Now, before we get into it, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Well, Meghan McCain, conservative host on The View, just ended her tenure. And as usual, they come up with, to me, some of the lamest excuse as to why she left. She wanted to spend more time with her family. She wanted to, yada, 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 yada. Other View hosts have made certain other claims. They wanted to write a book. They wanted to explore the country or the world or whatever. I'm kind of, and it's, let me just tell you, it's not true. The View is one of the most popular shows on syndicated television, and so you wouldn't be on the show if you were that concerned about your family. And I'm not even saying, criticizing if whether or not if that's why you really left. I'm just saying that people usually don't leave for that reason. But we have to ask, well, so why don't conservative last? Well, understand The View was created by Barbara Walters over 25 years ago as really a show for women's view. So keep that in mind. It was a show for women's view and not necessarily conservative versus progressive, but more so women. Over time, you did have more of a presence, or I should say, more of the labeling of progressive and conservative hosts. But basically, it's women's view. And I'm going to say view, okay, is the main topic there. But over years, conservative hosts have really gotten beaten up for being on the show, mainly because, understand this, The View is a progressive show on a progressive network. And so if you're not progressive, or if you're a conservative and if you're going to go on The View, you are outgunned. And not only are you outgunned, but the co-hosts are going to pretty much pummel you for your conservative perspective. So for example, can you go on The View and just say, I'm going to stay home and raise kids, cook the family meals, and have the husband, I'm laughing here, but have the husband's newspaper ready when he gets home? You would get murdered on that show for that. Even though if it's The View, shouldn't they say, well, if that's your view? No. Another issue is that, especially when Whoopi Goldberg came on the show, a lot of people were afraid of her. And one of the reasons why is because Whoopi knew how to stand her ground. Now here's the interesting thing. When you come to certain progressive issues, it doesn't necessarily mean they're right, but if you know how to stand your ground. So that brings me to my point. Why conservative hosts don't last? Two reasons. Either they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't stand their ground, or both. In other words, in order for a conservative host to last, you have to be knowledgeable, and then you have to be able to stand your ground. Now, Meghan McCain, and my question has always been, I never understood why she was on the show, other than the fact of her father, Senator John McCain. And even then, I still don't know why. But Meghan McCain also was the person who didn't mind standing her ground. she would stand toe to toe against her fellow host. Now, people hated Meghan for that. There were often times that they wrote into the show to fire Meghan. And the problem with Meghan was that even though she stood her ground, she stood it often in a bad way. She came off as a brat, a spoiled, rich, white brat. And her views, her conservative views, were nothing more than talking points, that she didn't really know how to bring her talking points. And so people hated her. They hated her. Now, here are some of the other views, co-hosts, conservative co-hosts in the past that have been on. You had Elizabeth Hasselbeck. And the only reason why she kind of got noticed is when she had her big fight with Rosie O'Donnell. And then from that point, she started bringing more of a conservative perspective, but she didn't know how to present it. And so she would get hammered. Candace, I think her name was Candace, did not, I think her name was either Candace Cameron. I don't know why she was on the show, other than just, maybe a conservative housewife, maybe? I'm not for sure. But she really didn't bring anything to the show. Now, Nicole Wallace, on the bottom there, Nicole Wallace, she did bring she was very smart, but again, she didn't stand her ground. You have to be able to stand your ground. They would when they would push back against Nicole, she would not push back against them. Jedediah Bia over there, I think she was great for the show, but just didn't last. I don't know why she left, but she was the one that said that she was going to write a book. No, they pushed her out. Again, I don't know why. And I think because she didn't really stand her ground. See, when you think about Candace versus, let's say, Meghan, not Candace, I mean Jedediah versus Meghan. Remember, Meghan she wasn't the smartest cookie, right? She wasn't she didn't bring, other than talking points, her thing was she just knew how to, she didn't mind standing toe to toe and arguing with the co-host. And on the end, Abby Huntsman, she really didn't bring anything to the table. She did not bring anything to the table. Now, a couple of other co-hosts, these are kind of current co-hosts. They're Anna Navarra. She appears regularly, and she still appears regularly. And I'm going to get back to Tara Sedimore later. But they appear regularly on the show. Now, it is possible that Anna could move up into a regular spot. We'll see. Anna is smart, and Anna also knows how to stand her ground. The same with Tara. Again, I'll come back to Tara. Only reason I'm not going to too much focus on Anna is because Anna is currently a co-host. That she appears. So the question now, who would they pick? My thought is this, that if they're going, any conservative host that comes on the show, one should know what they're talking about. They should know their views, they should know their topics, they should have their facts, and they should be willing to stand toe to toe. And they should not be afraid of Whoopi. They should not be afraid of Joy, but they should stand the ground. Now, Sunny and Sarah, they typically are not the ones who are going to push back against anyone. I think they're great on the show. But Joy and Whoopi will. And I think you have to be able to stand your ground. So here's a good example. The issue of abortion will always be a hot topic on the show. And if you are conservative, bring your A game and stand your ground. Let me show you who they won't bring on the show, however. These two, Tommy Lauren and Candace Owens. And let me tell you why. Neither one really has, they're grifters. And for the most part, they come on the show. They come on the show for the most part to fight. It would just be a cat fight. And eventually, because they're on a progressive show, they would get booted out as well. But I don't have too much respect for either one because, again, they're grifters. And a lot of times they're hypocrites. And so, my first, and one of the reasons why I even did this video was to say, I wonder if Megyn Kelly would, I always thought she would be a great replacement for Megyn. She is smart. She is extremely smart. And she will stand her ground. Megyn has a race problem, though. When she was on Fox News, remember she came out with the Jesus is white and Santa Claus is white. When she left Fox News, and she was hired by NBC. And one of the problems with Megyn was, and I blame whoever hired her at NBC, it's the same reason why conservatives don't last on The View, is that NBC is a progressive station. And Megyn was trying to bring a conservative view. Okay, so that in itself was problematic, and they didn't know what to do with her. But then when she brought up the racism again, because what actually ended her, well, she kind of made a statement about not understanding why people were upset about blackface. In other words, she said, well, we did blackface at Halloween all the time. What's the problem? And I think they used that to get rid of her. Don't cry for her. She, my understanding, she left with a very hefty paycheck. Something like anywhere from 20 to 60 million. But I think she would do better on The View because on The View, her view would be welcome, as opposed to coming from NBC or having her own show. At least you can carve this space on The View itself. And I think she would do well to stand against her co-hosts, progressive co-hosts, such as Whoopi and Joy. Here's some others. Gretchen Carson and Mary Catherine Ham. Now, as you know, Gretchen Carson was a staple on Fox News, on Fox News Channel for years, and she left over the sexual scandal. But she's very knowledgeable. And the same with Mary Catherine Ham. I believe she's on CNN now. The only question I have is I don't know if they would stand their ground. So you got to do both. If you're going to go on The View, you have to be knowledgeable and you have to be willing to stand your ground. To me, Megyn would stand her ground. Meghan McCain stood her ground, but she wasn't that knowledgeable. Here are a couple of others. And I'm going to use them. I should have just put the other two, but S.E. Cupp, Amy Holmes, Margaret Hoover, and Tara Sutmore. I'm going to talk about S.E. Cupp and Tara Sutmore in a moment. But Amy Holmes and Margaret Hoover are very knowledgeable conservative women. My question would be, would they be strong enough to stand their ground? Okay, would they be strong enough to stand their ground? Now, my ultimate, these are my three picks, though, that I would really say that I think should be considered. Megyn Kelly, because she would stand her ground, and she's very knowledgeable. Essie Cupp. Essie Cupp has been around for a while. I think she's on CNN right now. And she's very knowledgeable, conservative, and I think she would stand her ground. And then Tara Septimar, she's already a regular host on The View, and she would stand her ground. Now, the reason why I picked these three is because in all three cases, they have, to me, everything you would need for a conservative to not only stand but last on The View. Meaning this: they're smart, they're going to come with knowledge, and they will be able to stand their ground, but also do it in such a way that you're not going to hate them as the audience hated Meghan McCain. That they'll be able to stand their ground, get their points across, and you're going to say, you know what? I can respect that. I can respect her position, even if you disagree with it. I can respect it. Meghan McCain, people just didn't like her because of her attitude. She came off as a brat. She came off as a spoiled, rich, white brat. These three would come off as, to me, smart women. Meghan McCain probably would be more controversial than Essie Cupp and Tara Septimar, but I believe you at least be able to say, I can understand, if you listen to her, I understand her point of view. Anyway, guys, that is my perspective. What do you think? Don't forget to like and share this video, and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comments section below. All comments are welcome. Till next time, I'll see you then.